Hello all, and welcome to Music Minute, the hot theory guide to learn those extra concepts the right way, brought to you by StephenJax.com. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be talking about Vivaldi. You know, the composer. Well guys, it's springtime, and who better to talk about in spring than Vivaldi, right? If you don't quite get the reference, stay tuned, you'll get it later. Here are 24 facts about Vivaldi and his start to becoming a well-known composer. Antonio Lucio Vivaldi, or Antonio Vivaldi, was born on March 4th, 1678. He was born in the capital of the Republic of Venice, which is modern-day Venice. He was baptized immediately after birth by his midwife, but then was given a baptism 2 months later in the church. His father was a professional violinist and trained Vivaldi from a young age. Together they performed as father and son all around Venice. In his early teens, he was taught to write liturgical music. This was his start as a composer. As he grew up, Vivaldi suffered from breathing problems and was probably asthmatic. This didn't get in the way of him playing violin or composing, but it discouraged him from playing wind instruments. At the age of 15, he studied to become a priest. Just 10 years later, in 1703, when he was 25, he was ordained. Because he had red hair, Vivaldi was soon nicknamed Il Prete Rosso, which means the Red Priest. However, soon after becoming a priest, due to his breathing problems, he couldn't fully celebrate Mass. Though he still had the title, he withdrew from being a priest altogether. He then became a master of violin at an orphanage called Devout Mercy Hospital. While he was at this orphanage, he started composing big time. Even though Vivaldi went down in history as one of the best Baroque composers of ever, he was known for his technique at playing violin. In fact, some of his followers said he played with such skill that the world may never see a violinist as great as Vivaldi ever again. Now, the orphanage he worked in was one of 5 shelters in Venice that would house orphaned children. But this facility didn't only give them shelter, but an education as well. The boys of the orphanage would study a trade and leave at the age of 15. The girls, however, were trained in music and then could become members of the orchestra or the choir of the facility. Within the first few years of Vivaldi teaching at this facility, the students began to get reputations abroad. After all, they were performing Vivaldi's music. He wrote all kinds of works for them, from cantatas to concertos and from small motets to large orchestrated works. While working at this school, Vivaldi was kept extremely busy. Vivaldi not only composed for his students, but taught them instrumentation and, my favorite, theory. But even though he offered so much to the orphanage with his talents, the board of directors didn't always care for him. In fact, they always held a meeting at the end of the year to vote whether Vivaldi would stay on staff or not. In 1706, the vote went against him 7-6. But then after just 1 year, the board of directors realized their mistake and realized that they couldn't do it without Vivaldi, so they called him back. He was later promoted to music director and oversaw all the musical activity in the school. At this time in Venice, opera was all the rage. Vivaldi participated in writing opera as a side job and even saw some money in it with a couple operas. But these two were not nearly as famous as his opera Nerone Fatto Cesare. It featured 7 different composers and had 11 arias and was a huge success. This was the first major work that launched Vivaldi's opera career. In his late 30s, Vivaldi was offered a position as chapel master to the governor of Mantua. Vivaldi moved there and stayed the next 3 years and continued writing opera. After a stay in Mantua, he traveled all over Italy, showcasing his operas. At this time, Vivaldi started writing the 4 Seasons, which you're listening to right now. This piece is perhaps the most well-known piece he ever wrote. The musical painting that Vivaldi was able to create in this piece is astounding. For those of you who don't know, the 4 Seasons is broken up into 4 sections, one for each season. You're currently listening to spring. In spring, he was able to portray birds singing and rivers flowing. In summer, he was able to depict things like dogs barking and mosquitoes buzzing. In autumn, hunting parties and dancing. And in winter, ice skating and warm fires. If you haven't listened to the whole thing before, I put a link in the description and I really recommend you listen to it. This is how Vivaldi got his start as both being a composer and in being the legend as we see him today. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Music Minute. If you have any comments or questions, or if you have an idea for a future episode, Or if you like a particular movement out of the Four Seasons, you can let me know on Facebook, the comments below, or directly email at me at my website, stephenjax.com. And don't forget to subscribe for more Music Minutes. I'm off to enjoy the sunshine.